Hello, and welcome to another Aspire Design and Home webinar. We're very pleased to welcome Gail Doby, Reid, Cecelia Sagrera Hill, Tina Ramchandani, and George Brazil. Sorry, I should have said those names in my head before I introduced you. We're very pleased to have this webinar on how to increase your business, how to improve your business. I think what's really interesting is, coming out of COVID, we've all handled things very differently. One thing that Gail did is she created a pandemic masterpiece called Business Breakthroughs, and it's a book you should definitely buy. She's here to kind of replicate some of the ideas that are within the pages of those books. With that said, I will bid myself adieu and turn this over to Gail. And thank you again for attending. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. I am just really pleased to have some of my clients and also someone that I just met, Reid. And I'm really excited to get to know you too, Katie, and hear what happened for you during the pandemic. But I'm going to just ask a couple of questions and let you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us, I know you're from New Jersey, but tell us how you got into design and what has led you to where you are and what kind of work are you doing these days?
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Reid. I am from Newark, New Jersey. So I've been in the design industry for about like 5 or 6 years now, working for such brands such as Descartes Design. And I was the lead designer for Mikel Welch Designs for a number of years, which kind of sort of gave me the tools and resources to implement my own business. Last year during the pandemic, really struck of the whole Black Lives Matter movement, where there was like a visibility of Black artisans, designers, resources that really just became available and accessible to me. That kind of sort of gave me the inspiration to start my own brand. It eventually started with just doing like a lot of online e-design consultations, but then I would have the opportunity to kind of sort of do a design show house. I was privileged to do the Kingston Design Show House, which was like the first project under my brand. And that kind of sort of like really made it official for me. Like, wow, I'm really doing my own brand, doing my own work, yeah. So this led to what I am doing today.
Okay, well, great. So when did you actually start doing design work?
I would say 6 years ago.
Okay.
6 years ago, started off as an intern, self-taught. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's great. We have a lot of self-taught designers and they go on and build multi-million-dollar businesses, and that's all great. So I'm glad to have you on the panel. So now I want to go to George and Cecelia. They are clients of mine out of San Francisco, and I just had the pleasure of finally getting to see Cecelia in person after we've worked together for several months, not quite a year, but she and George jumped in with both feet, did a VIP day, and then they went on and joined our boardroom. And we're really excited to have them in there. They're so much fun, and finally got to have breakfast together in San Francisco when I was there a few weeks ago. So that was terrific to see you there. So let me just share a little bit about them. They have been working together since 2002, so 19 years, and they've both been doing design work for a long time. So Cecelia, tell me how you got into design.
Absolutely. Well, it's good morning for me, not so much good afternoon since we're in California, specifically San Francisco. So the process for me was a little bit of a different trajectory. I actually studied culinary arts prior to getting a degree in interior architecture, well, actually interior design. And it was something that just sort of landed on my lap more than anything else. I moved to San Francisco and I actually went to the California College of Arts here, where I ended up with a degree. And it was something that happened out of my previous employment, which was owning a catering company with my parents. And I'm originally from El Salvador. So that was a big transition for me. But what I realized is that the majority of the time I wasn't really cooking. I was actually setting the stage for all the events and all the weddings. And then I realized, this not might be for me as a profession. I love to cook, by the way. So, and that's how I ended up here. George and I met, as Gail said, 19 years ago. We actually worked together for the same designer, and that's how we met. And then one day was like, do you want to work together? And it sort of happened. And here we are.
Yeah, it's a great partnership, and it's been a lot of fun working with both of you. So George, tell us a little bit about how you got into design.
Thank you, Gail. Yeah, it's a really great partnership, I definitely have to say. So I've been a designer for 30 years now, and I went to college thinking I was going to get my business degree similar to Cecelia. I was going to become a chef, and then I was going to become a pastry chef, and I realized that lifestyle was probably not the best thing for me, and I knew I wanted to do something creative. And I remember so long ago reading an article, it was either Metropolitan Home or Architectural Digest, where they spoke about the career of design and really what sort of salary possibilities are. And I remember reading that and going, oh, wow, I could do this and actually make money and actually like thrive in it. So I changed my degree to interior design, graduated, and worked for several designers. I've had another company before that was a design build firm in Sacramento. Moved to San Francisco in 2000, following my then boyfriend, now life partner. Yeah, Cecelia and I met, and opportunity came our way, and we decided to see if we worked well enough together, and the rest is history. And here we are today.
And you are very fortunate, because not all partnerships work out. I have I've seen a few that have not worked out well, and you just have this magic together. So it's really fun to watch you and work with you.
I agree. Thank you.
You're welcome. And last but not least, Tina Ramchandani, who is one of my clients in New York City. So we've got both coasts covered here. And Tina is just a delight and so much fun. And Tina, I want you to share how you got into design.
Yeah, so thanks for having me, guys. I went to school for interior design. I have been in the industry for, I think, about 16 years. I'm really bad with time, but I think it's around that time. And I've had my own firm for about 8 years now. I think it's going to be 8 years next month. So maybe I'll have a mini party. But I was just drawn to this. I didn't know, I think kind of like George, I went to undergrad assuming I would do, I don't know, some sort of a business degree, not with any intent, just because it was what you do. And while I was trying to figure that out, I realized that none of those other degrees were for me. I decided interior design was, with no idea what I was doing or why I was doing it. And I switched schools and I graduated with my interior design degree. And I've been fortunate enough to work with amazing firms. And I've met a lot of great people on the way. And then I found great mentors like Gail. So I've been able to, survive this long. So things have been good.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the things. It seems so easy in a way. We all got into design, because I know I got my design degree after so many of my friends would hire me to do their houses. And I was thinking, I need a degree. So I went back and got that degree, but I already had a finance degree. So it was really helpful to have both of those. And for me, that's what ended up, I realized that what I really was most passionate about is helping people make money in this business, because I've had so many friends who've been in the business who haven't made any money at it, and they are enjoying what they're doing, but they don't know how to go about building what I call a creative value blueprint. And I just wanted to find that for everyone. In my book, I talk about this because really what happens is a lot of consumers don't really understand the value of designers, and nor do the designers really understand their own value. And you have to be able to have a conversation about who you are and what your value is to get paid the way you want to get paid. So having a creative value blueprint is understanding how to set up a whole company that supports your dreams and your passion and your vision, and also has a financial model that works, that gives you the profit and the lifestyle that you're looking to do. And I think for those of you who are listening to this who maybe have been in the business for a while, it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, you can always do better. And one of the things that I love is helping people get to that point where they have that value blueprint and they can speak about it and convince people to pay them what they're really worth. And I think that's one of the things where a lot of designers struggle the most, is being able to do that. So, Katie, let's start with you. Have you struggled at all with how to present yourself and how to get the pay that you really deserve?
I can totally relate to that. Like when I first started off, I was so interested in just kind of sort of getting any sort of project that I was like, yes, yes, yes to every sort of thing, every project, just to kind of sort of increase my portfolio, increase my range. But then I kind of sort of had to kind of step back and kind of reevaluate where I wanted to kind of sort of land my business goals. And I started thinking about when I was interning, and one of the things that was key to me was, yes, I was blessed to be in a space where, you know, I have access to all these amazing resources. But one of the things that was key to me was really just trying to understand how are these designers basically paying for, you know, how are you paying the light bills for this firm? How are you paying the studio as well as paying your own rent? You know, and these were in places like, you know, Soho, New York. So I'm like, the rent's like $3,000. So really just trying to sort of fine tune and add that value to yourself and be in demand, being strict with payments. So those are some of the things that I kind of learned, which really helped me kind of sort of fine tune my target audience and clientele. So that way I can kind of go in confidently and say, hey, these are my rates. And this is why these are my rates. So that way I can be confident when I deliver the information to my clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and confidence is so huge and such a big part of it. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. And I find that a lot of people that I'm working with will say, I don't know if I can charge that much. I remember one of my clients, I told her that she had to go out and I said, this is non-negotiable. You have to go and present, double your fees, and you have to go present that to at least 4 clients. And she was so nervous about it. And then she did it. And she said that every single one of them was all men, and they all told her that, good for you. We should do this. We should be raising our rates. And what I loved about that is that sometimes I think designers just need somebody in the background kind of pushing you to believe in yourself and have that confidence that you're worth what you're charging. So finding that right number is important, don't you think?
One of the things that I left out was, you know, in order for me to kind of sort of build this confidence,
Mm-hmm.
I have a mentor. So Mikhail Welch is actually one of my design mentors,
Mm-hmm.
and he helps give me the tools to present myself in that manner.
That's great. That is so important to have that. So great. So let's go over to George and let's talk a little bit about where you want to go with your business, because you've been in the business for quite a while, and then you and Cecelia joined me toward the end of last year or middle of last year, and then you have really looked at where you want to go. So where are you wanting to go with your business? What are you trying to accomplish?
Sure. So, you know, I mean, since we've been in business for as long as we've had, and I'll be honest, I mean, we've been successful at what we're doing, yet, like Gail said before, like we can always do better, right? And that's part of the challenge, I think, of life in general, is we always want to grow, right? And so wanting to attract that next level of client, that's where we are now. We're working with affluent clients that have rather large budgets, but now we want to go onto the next level. And in order for us to do this, you know, we realized that we needed somebody sort of in the background to assess where we were aside from us, and then present present almost a roadmap, or help us build a roadmap of what we need to do to get to the next level, right? And I'll just add this, as small business owners and as entrepreneurs, at least this is my experience. I think we feel like we have to do it all and we have to figure it all out and we have to be the ones to build it because that's part of the process and how fun and the adventure of it. And the reality is what I've kind of realized. And we've worked with other coaches and business professionals before, yet not to the same success that we're seeing now. Yet what I've realized is, yeah, you could get there doing it all yourself, but how long do you want to take to get there? Or how quickly do you want to get there? And so I think for me, I kind of had to put a little bit of my pride aside of, okay, I don't have to figure it all by myself or with Cecelia, right? That we can actually hire a professional like every great leader, every great business person out there, they all have coaches, whether it's a business coach, a speech coach, a personal trainer. Everybody that's successful, you look at anybody and they all have coaches because they realize that they could get to where they want to go faster by hiring somebody that can help them do it. And so, this is sort of a roundabout way, but we've know that we want to get to the next stage of our business and we want to get there faster than having us figure it out.
Mm-hmm. I find that a lot of people they think they know what the right thing is to do and they keep trying what they think is right, and then it's not producing the right results. And then finally you kind of get to the point of saying, okay, well, maybe I just don't have that answer and I should go find somebody who can give me that answer. So that's one of the things I love about building that blueprint for people, that 3-year financial roadmap, so that you can see exactly how you get to that result that you're wanting. So, yeah.
And to have a real concrete plan, something that we had always struggled with was sort of writing a business plan. Right? Sort of figure out, well, what are your projections for the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And the reality was like, I mean, I know I can do the work and I know I could be successful at it, but how do I know that I'm going to get $1 million or $2 million worth of business this year? And so to have a plan on, well, how do you go about getting that? Has completely changed our business for sure.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. So Cecelia, any comments on that?
Oh, no, I will second that. And my apologies on that. I realized I hadn't turned off the alarm and the sitter showed up. And I will agree with George. I mean, I think for us, it definitely has been an opportunity to really also stand aside and give ourselves the time as the business owners to really put in the time to think about the business. And I think that's the bigger aspect of it. As small business owners, as George was saying, we're constantly doing the work. But we're doing the work for our clients. And at the same time, we might say, oh, I'll get to reviewing that P&L. I'll get to reviewing that balance sheet later because I need to get this out for our client. And you have to find a balance between that in order for there to be a successful trajectory in the long run. And I think that's a key component to really start to understand how to spend time to work within the business, not just at the business.
Yeah. Getting that whole plan together is really critical. Yes. And it changes over time too. And with that, I'll come to Tina, because I know you've gone through the ups and downs. I know last year was a little bit stressful for you. And now all of a sudden you're just slammed with work and you've got so much going on. You're trying to hire and trying to find people right now. It's one of the biggest challenges I'm seeing for designers is just how do you scale, or how do you do the business that's coming at you, which you worked so hard to get. And now you've got to figure out a way to get it done and try to have some sanity in the process. So why don't you talk about that, Tina?
Sanity is, I'm working on that. I mean, look, I did all of the things that for Katie doesn't know, Gail put on this amazing marketing challenge last year. And I know she's done it since then, but I did every single thing that she told me to do. And now it's like gangbusters, right? Like I have clients that I try to say no, and then they're trying to come back. Like, no, we need you, it's an amazing, amazing feeling, but I don't I want to service all of my clients. I want to do it well. So I want to grow, but I want to grow efficiently and not just hire. You know, there are so many, my Siri started listening to what we were saying.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Sorry.
She's learning.
She's learning.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's definitely a challenge. I'm definitely in one of the most challenging parts of my business right now. And I've had other challenges before that I know, Gail has seen, like last year was a huge dip. I think also because of where we're living, in Manhattan, in the middle of, where everything happened. And then the George Floyd stuff was really affecting me as well. And we're in at Union Square, there were marches every day. Like, it was all around me. I never left the city. So there was like emotional trauma, I guess. And then also like work stopped, and now everything's amazing. So it's not everything's amazing, but like everything has gotten much better. So I'm trying to bring it together. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, navigating that is one of the hard things, because if you go from, not as busy as you want to be to you're swamped and you can barely breathe, then that has a whole other set of problems. And I'm sure there are lots of things you could share about some of the challenges along the way, especially with the hiring part and finding the right people, especially when everybody has work right now. Everybody's swamped. But
this is my, I guess, third time technically hiring this year. And last time it was very difficult to find candidates. So now this round, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the people that have applied yet. I have someone that's doing that for me, but I'm nervous about the applicants.
Oh yeah. But there's some good ones out there too, which is really great. So KD, have you started to scale yet? Are you starting to build your team?
I actually wanted to piggyback off of Cecelia and
Sure.
Tina, because as they were talking, I had a few things pop into my head. And one of the things that really stood out was when I first kind of sort of started, one of the things I kind of lived by was no task is beneath me. And really just kind of sort of just being multifaceted and just putting on any and every hat to kind of sort of get the job done. Over the last couple of months, as I have been sort of getting an increase of projects and kind of sort of just touching on different aspects of the design industry, one of the things that I realized is that although I'm really good with managing finances, I found that it is much more easier to kind of sort of have a second party involved managing that. I like to focus primarily on a creative process, and that kind of sort of helps the relationship between me and the clients as well. So one of the things is I feel like I don't want to be awkward when it comes to, money, payments, and, things of that nature. So it took some time. It took a building relationship, but I really had to kind of sort of just harness and hire someone to take on a financial part, so that way they can kind of sort of have full range and really control over that. Having someone touch on your finances is kind of sort of, and now I kind of felt how my clients kind of feel in the first beginning. I was trying to build that relationship, but over the last couple of months, it's been kind of sort of been fine tuning my business a little bit more, making things a little bit more streamlined. I don't have to be direct to my clients and be like, hey, where's the payment at? Then it builds kind of an awkward relationship between us. Whereas though my account manager can definitely follow up, and they can do it more directly, authentically. And that way it still creates a good relationship between the client and I.
Absolutely. So are there any things that you found out, and I think this could be for all of you, and I'll go through to each one of you, that you've learned now at this point in your business that you wish you'd known at the beginning? And I'll start with Cecelia. I see that look of, maybe one or two things.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, definitely for me, it was the realization that you don't have to do it all. And I'll piggyback off of what KD has done, and really having processes and procedures in place, right? I think when we first started, everybody's trying to figure out how it's all going to work, what you're going to do with the client, et cetera. That was a big thing. And I'm, as George knows, I like things very organized, and everything has a process and a procedure, and we're always going back to it and saying, okay, what can we do better? What can we eliminate because that's taking us too long, or putting, a simple list together for our client to realize, okay, this is how the process is going to work. This is when you'll be expecting things, things of that nature that I think it's really important to have is those procedures in place. And I think when you first start out, some of us are all still going by the seat of our pants and going like, okay, I have a client. Okay, what am I going to do next? What is the next thing? And we're constantly servicing them, but at the same time, having those procedures in place will allow us to service them even more in a different manner, not in a sort of, how would I say this, fight or flight experience where like, oh, there's a problem. Okay, I'm going to go run to it, versus coming to the table with like, oh, we had a situation. Here are your 3 solutions for it.
Mm-hmm.
So really making sure and thinking that through. I mean, I think that for me was a key thing, and having a bookkeeper.
Mm-hmm. Having a good bookkeeper.
Yes, having a good bookkeeper.
Really understands this business, because
yes,
honestly, I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is how much the numbers are involved with the business. And and when I first talk to designers, they say, oh, the numbers, they just go right over my head. And that is the typical, the hair sweep, and they think, oh my God, I don't understand it. But the reality is we all understand the numbers. We actually do, because we can add and we can subtract, and we know what's in our checking account. And we also know that over time we have to have a reality check about what it really costs us to operate our business, and also how to make money at the end of the day is what's left over. It's not how much you have at the top line and how much you sell. It's about what that bottom line is, because that's what you take home. So it's understanding that you've got to have the right model so you're making money at the business, and that you're really sticking with it, because and you have the confidence to charge what you're really worth, because if you don't, that it's going to be harder to pay those bills. So I think for some people that's a big learning lesson for them. So
Agreed.
Tina, how about you? Was that what were some of your big ahas as you were running your business early on?
Obviously the finances were a huge I think I was trained as a designer, and I was trained to, order things, submit payments for orders, but not for the rest of my business. So that was really a hard shift for me, to start acting like a business owner instead of a designer who happened to be running a business. So that was something I wish I had maybe known a little bit earlier. Maybe if I really knew it, I don't know that I would have jumped in like this. So maybe it's good that I didn't know it. But outsourcing is huge. And I learned that from you. Now I outsource as much as I possibly can, which is amazing, because like Katie said, someone else is sending out the bills. I definitely see them and I review them. So I'm very aware of what's happening. But when it doesn't come from me, it's a whole different relationship between my clients and I. So that's been huge. And then I think I would also maybe tell younger designers to not be afraid of their clients, because I was definitely afraid of my clients when I was younger or just starting out. I think I didn't want to communicate as much because I didn't want to upset them when things were late or damaged, or all of the things that happen. But now, especially in these times where every day something is late, it's all about communication. And the more honest I am with them, the more they respect what we're doing and they understand the process. So it's a lot of education and just communication that I wish I had known that earlier. I mean, I can go, there's so many things, but those are a couple key things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
George, how about you?
Sure. So to sort of add to the great list that's being compiled here, one of the things that I really wish I would have done sooner was taken the time by myself to sort of plan out what I wanted my business to be, and to put it in writing, and to take the time to review it over time and to build on it. Because I do believe our business would have grown much sooner than it is now. Yet I know everything happens for a reason. So I'm not upset. I'm not shitting all over myself. I should have done this. I should have done that. But, and then the other thing I will say is, don't be afraid to say no to a client that's not the right fit. And when we gave ourselves permission to do that, and that was probably 5 or 6 years into our business completely changed. The doors opened, the right clients started coming. We weren't afraid to say no. And I think that's a huge thing, to be able to give yourself permission when you know in your gut that it's not the client you want to work with, it's not the right fit. And to be able to have the confidence to say no because the right client is going to be calling me tomorrow, your business completely changes. And then just finally, I would say, don't wait to work on yourself. Don't wait to build your leadership skills. Don't wait to build your personal development, your business skills. Start doing that very early on. It's not anything that's taught in school, which to me is a shame. Yet as a business owner, or even just as a designer out there, we have to take it upon ourselves to make ourselves better too.
Absolutely. And again, that's something that I was always disappointed about. That I have one class on business and design school, and I was just thinking to myself, thank God I've got a finance degree, because at least I can read P&Ls and balance sheets, and I understand what those mean, and I understand, the numbers behind the business. But what I found was my cohorts and even my teacher, and this was a sad statement. She was teaching a class one day, and she starts talking about sales tax, and she looks over to me, and she knew I was a practicing designer even in school, because I wanted a degree to go with it. And she looked at me and she said, Gail, how do you do this sales tax situation? And I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was just shocked. I was just shocked that the teacher was asking me, and she had been in the business 20 years. And so to me, that was a real aha moment about, you've got to be careful who's teaching you what you're needing to learn, because you've got to make sure that they really know what they're talking about. And that was a disappointment, because I didn't walk out of school having a roadmap or know how to price and what it costs to operate the business, and all of those other things that are extremely important for you to understand. So that was a real shock to my system. So Katie, how about you? I know you came into this naturally with your talent. So how did you go about learning, and what were your big ahas, especially when you first started?
Yeah, I like to be transparent. When I see someone that has a measure of success that I want to achieve, I put myself in a position to ask them how did they attain that particular asset or that particular skill set. And I'm not afraid to taking on an internship, shadowing them, just really getting my hands dirty to gain the experience, because I think that's the only real life lesson that you can kind of sort of really attribute to trying to achieve these different goals.
Okay, great. Well, and I think too that we're experiencing some completely different challenges than we've ever had before. This whole situation with COVID was a shock to the system, and I will never forget it, because I saw Tina in New York City just 2 days before everything shut down, and we left on March 14th, and then none of us knew what was going to happen in the early part of COVID. And there were some huge lessons that were learned, I think, for all of us during that time. And I went back to my team right after New York for that trip, and I said, we've got to do something to help the industry. And then we did Operation Ignite. We had 10 different presentations and interviews that we did in the springtime right after COVID to help people figure out how to navigate what was going on with COVID. And there were some really important lessons that a lot of our interviewees shared with the list, or with our listeners. And, it was really interesting, because that to me, it just kind of gave me something to work on, to do something, because I didn't know what was going to happen with our business either. But here we are, we're more than a year later, and everything's starting to come back to normal. But now we've got new problems. So what are some of the things that you're doing to address the challenges that are part of the aftermath of COVID, including maybe how you're feeling about things. And I'll start with George.
Sure. I think sort of, Tina said it earlier is, communication is key, being able to communicate with your clients, being able to communicate with your vendors and really understand what's going on. Gail, at one of the events that you recently had, that you had the CEO of Hickory Chair on, and he was talking about the delays. And it's not just that the vendors are busy, it's that the supplies, the raw goods that they're just not getting them. So, things are delayed by twice as long in some cases. And we're finding that even with the construction projects that we're working on. I would say, definitely communication is key. I don't think I think what has happened to us is going to affect us for the rest of our generation for sure, in many ways, whether it's good or bad, and I think the silver lining to all of this for me, what I'm seeing and what the reports are saying is that the consumer is getting more in tune with what they truly need and what they truly want and what really makes them happy. And so I think that gives us an amazing opportunity to create that intimate relationship with our client, to be able to deliver something even better than we have been able to do, because our clients are more open.
Yeah, I think so. And also, I think too that they have a new appreciation for home and what
Absolutely.
it's really all about, which
Yeah.
is really helped everyone. So we'll do a quick wrap up with each of you, and then we'll open it up for questions. So Tina, any thoughts about that? Any big lessons from last year?
Well, one thing we didn't talk about, which I ignored for my entire life, which you changed for me, was mindset. So I think that's something that people that are maybe more like me and less emotional about things don't want to deal with mindset, but I think it is a really important thing to sort of figure out, like you were saying confidence before, but it's more than just confidence. I think it's really just staying in the right headspace to get things done and to get the clients and to encourage your team. So that was something that really switched for me at the end of last year. And George was saying work on yourself, which I think is also very similar. It's all wrapped up in that. So I think that's something that I would just tell people to take some time and think about and get some help with.
Absolutely. Katie, how about you?
I want to follow up with Tina. I would say my shift in mindset has been the biggest kind of sort of advantage that I've had. Just thinking back to last year during the quarantine, as I was kind of sort of like in between looking for projects and nothing was really coming through, I had this sort of insanity going on as far as kind of keep repeating the same sort of process as far as trying to get new clients. And really that wasn't working for me. Once I kind of took a step back and kind of sort of reevaluating different things and really utilizing social media as an opportunity to and as a strength to put myself in a position to categorize my company and really just put it to a larger audience. That was a really pivotal moment for me that kind of sort of really helped kind of sort of offer different services other than residential commercial work for me. I think once I really started taking advantage of the social media is when I really started getting, it was like the universe just started working magically in my favor, where I had brands just started reaching out to me as far as like photo style and prep, lifestyle shoots. And those were just different avenues of revenue that I really didn't think about as passive income to kind of sort of compensate in the meantime. So really just being open-minded and just kind of sort of still knowing when and how to say no for certain things really kind of sort of set me up structurally also this is my 1 year anniversary for my company, so all this is just kind of sort of just resonating at the same time as well.
That's so great. I loved seeing the range of experience here. All right, Cecelia, I'll let you have the last word before we go to Q&A.
Well, definitely. I'm going to piggyback now on Katie's, because I think definitely one of the things that really opened my eyes with the whole aspect of marketing is like to really take the time, even though there was, we were all stuck at home and trying to figure out what our next steps were going to be, to really just start to analyze how we wanted the company to present itself, and really start to think about what that messaging was and how to really put that messaging out there, and make sure that the messaging that we were putting out there was something that was happening not just on a social media platform, but it was also on our website. It was the way that we were communicating with our clients, and simply just checking in with our existing clients, not even for a service, but just simply to say, hey, how are you doing? We're all in this awkwardness that we don't know what's going to happen, and we just want to kind of call and say hi and make sure that everybody is okay. Because for us, that was a big thing. Our business is really, really based on relationships with your clients. And that was important to us, just to simply check in with everybody else and just be in that mindset of being, I'm just here for you if you want somebody to chat with at the end of the day. So that was a big component for us.
Well, and what you're saying really, I think if I were to paraphrase it, is that you're really focusing on the relationships and not the transaction.
Correct.
And I think that's so important for designers, because we are relationship driven. And to be really successful in this business, you have to have a relationship that's strong with yourself. And then from that, you can have a strong relationship with your team and your clients. And if you do that, then a lot of things will fall into place. And it's not always perfect, but it's also having a reality check of getting help when you need it, to learn the things that you don't know, so that you're strong enough to run a really successful business. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Gail, can I just add one more thing that just came to mind? I would say probably last April, when we were just in the beginnings of lockdown, I was on a call with somebody, and they said these 3 words, which completely changed how I viewed sort of everything going forward. And she said to me, order, disorder, reorder. And it was like what we had before, we had some semblance of order, and the pandemic put us into this state of disorder. And it's really up to us or we have the opportunity or the luxury to reorder what it is that we want our lives and our businesses to become.
Absolutely. That's great. I love that. All right. Well, I appreciate you all giving your insights. And now I'm going to open it up for some questions from the attendees today. If you have some questions, go ahead and pop those into the Q&A. For any of the people on the screen today, we're here to answer anything we can for you. And Andrew, you might even have a question. All right. So I think we do not have any questions at this very moment. Is there any? Andrew Joseph says, I'm good. All right. Well, we appreciate you all being on the call today. And if you get a chance, do go check out Amazon. My book is called Business Breakthrough, The Creative Value Blueprint to Earn More. And so that is hopefully a helpful guide to you. Even though you may know some of the things, there are usually at least 1 or 2 nuggets that help people. And it's designed for people at any stage of their business. So I encourage you to go download that and read that. It's a good how-to book, and gives you a lot of good suggestions for growing your business and making more money at it. So Andrew Joseph, thank you all. It's been so much fun chatting with everybody. And here are a couple of questions now. Did you all start with a website or social media? Anybody want to take that one?
I started off with social media.
Okay.
Instagram is a great, let me tell you, Instagram is a great resource that allows you to kind of sort of, even if you don't kind of sort of have a range of work or portfolio to present to people, Instagram is a versatile tool that you can really kind of sort of showcase things that you like, particular products, brands, and that's a kind of a way for you to fine tune your audience and really just start really creating that brand that you want visually. I did have once I got my first piece of press, I then went ahead and got a website, which kind of sort of made things really official for me. Instagram is one thing, but once you really have that website, the website just kind of sort of solidifies everything for you. It makes you official.
Great.
I was gonna say, I have the website, but the majority of my clients this year have found me through Instagram, and I find that they don't even go to the website until I direct them to the website when I say, oh, have you seen some of my other work? And they're like, where can I find it? It's on the website.
Funny. So social media is kind of an important part of that. Yeah. Cecelia and George, how about you?
Well, we started with a website.
There wasn't a thing called social media back then, Gail. Thank you.
That's so funny.
Yeah, we started with our website, but I mean, and as we all know, websites are static, right? So you have to embrace Instagram and, Pinterest or whatever sort of social media outlets that you want to use to connect to your audience.
Great. Well, that's a great question. All right. So here's another comment. So best to put the money in professional photos first before a website. That is a comment, but it sounds like it's also a question. Anybody want to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say that you want to put your best foot forward, especially when it comes to showcasing your projects, because you want to make sure that it's what you're presenting to the outside world and it's a representation of you. So you want to make sure that you have that photographed professionally. I think, yes, you could do things like, quick shots with your iPhone for Instagram and things like that, but definitely professional photographs for your website. It makes a huge difference.
I won't even put non-professional photos on my Instagram feed. I'll put them in stories, but because it's essentially acting as a website, I think they all have to be professional.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you all for being on the panel today. And I appreciate all of you attending. And if you have any questions, I'll certainly reach out. And Andrew Joseph has my contact information if there's anything I can do to support you. So Andrew Joseph, thank you so much for having us. And you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Gail.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.